All right, today we are talking about money, specifically investing in Ghana. And I have a very special guest that I'm super excited to bring to the table. His name is Dale Bryant. Dale is an investment advisor who recently relocated from New York City to Ghana. So, Dale, thank you so much for joining.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
And thank you for sharing your wisdom to the group. Yeah.
Let's hope I have some good things to say.
I'm sure you do. So, Dale, you have so much experience in the investment space. So you've been an investment advisor since 1998. So a lot of experience there that you are able to come to Ghana and bring to the table. Is that right?
Kind of. My experience is Wall Street. I worked at Morgan. I worked at Lehman. I founded my own investment company. Stocks, bonds, equities, retirement planning. That's a very American thing to do because we're all trying to retire.
Yeah.
In Ghana, the securities market isn't as mature, so most of my work is still back in the States around investments.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. So what brought you here then? What are you hoping to contribute? What were you hoping to get when you took this journey to Ghana?
I wish I had a very interesting and fun story to tell you of how I got here, but it's very plain and simple and boring. My wife.
Okay.
She said, we're moving. I said, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But my wife is a pharmacist, formerly a pharmacist, worked at one of the biggest hospital systems in New York. And in 2020, she was burned out. Mm-hmm. COVID hit New York City hospitals especially hard.
Yeah.
We had the George Floyd, Aubrey, Breonna Taylor murders and all of the unrest around that. And then all of Trump's people started wilding out. And so all of those things conspired to accelerate an idea that she had already had about considering moving out of America, getting off of the rat race wheel. And so 2020 just pushed us over the edge.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. And so so now that you're here, what experiences have you had since moving? Is it what you thought it would be?
Well, I didn't have any expectations, so I don't even have anything to compare to if it's what I thought it would be. And I actually believe that a lot of times Black Americans get into trouble with having expectations. Mm-hmm. And Ghana is probably not going to live up to those expectations. And so it was important for me to just be open to what Ghana had to present, be happy with it, appreciate it, but not compare it to what it has or doesn't have versus America. So I was okay.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So what has your lifestyle looked like since you've moved here?
My lifestyle has been the same. I feel like whatever your lifestyle is in America, whatever your habits are in America, good habits, bad habits, you'll bring them. Things ain't going to change. Like whatever you were doing there, you can find it here. Yeah. So if you had a 1%er lifestyle in America, you can find places to spend all your money on clothing, adventure, experiences, and food. I was always a minimalist. I'm still a minimalist. My wife was always frugal. She's still frugal. So our lifestyle hasn't changed. Our money goes a little bit longer because of the currency, but we didn't come over here and all of a sudden become ballers. Mm-hmm. We're still the same people.
Yeah, that's great that you mentioned that. I think a lot of people have this dream to move abroad and stretch their dollar a lot further, which I do believe Ghana gives the opportunity.
Yes, it does.
Right?
Yes.
So, so for those who are coming in, what advice do you have for those who want to move into the country? What advice do you have for them and their expectations?
I talk about this on our YouTube channel. I think I did an episode on it. I would say, just to keep it simple, the answer to 99 out of 100 questions, this is a quote from one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Money.
Okay.
You will make a lot of mistakes here. You will spend money on the wrong things here. The less money you have, the less cushion you have. The less money you have, your plan has to be executed perfectly.
Yeah.
The more money you have, the more grace Ghana will give you. And so I've had people come through our Airbnbs, no money, razor thin margins for risk. One thing goes wrong, they're back to America. I've seen people come with no plan. They had a little bit of money saved up, made a lot of mistakes, but the money allowed them to get back on course and stay. So I think that to come here and just think that because you heard it's cheap here, food is cheap here, rent is cheap here, that you can come here with no money or no income, I think is a bad move. So I would say proper financial planning will do you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's big. And I've since I've been here, I've been connecting with a lot of entrepreneurs who are working remotely. And so it seems to really serve them pretty well to do so, as well as people who have money saved and invested and they have that income. Yeah. You giving a face. What is it?
Because it's interesting. I'm older than you.
Okay.
And so there's a discussion to be had among the different generations. I'm X. What are you?
I don't even know.
Oh. And so younger people.
Millennials. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm like, what?
So younger people have to have that remote job because the older people probably got a pension, probably got a Social Security check, probably got a lot of money saved up, or maybe a house or two that they're renting out. An older person probably has a couple more revenue stream opportunities than a younger person. So the younger person generally has to make sure that that remote income is available and exploited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you mentioned people coming and like spending money on the wrong things and basically wasting money. Can you just like give me the pitfalls that people are falling into? Like, what does that even look like?
Well, let's keep it relevant to your audience. Let's just talk about investing and buying things. So I see that a lot of times our Black Americans come over, and because in the States, there is many times a sense of urgency on if you're going to rent that apartment, you're fighting people to get that apartment. If you're going to buy that home, someone might be offering over asking, and so you got to fight to get that home.
Okay.
There is urgency in America. And so when you come here, if someone gives you a false sense of urgency, you play right into it. In my opinion, there ain't no urgency in Ghana.
Okay.
And so take your time. Urgency always leads to overspending, getting ripped off, or a deal not going the way you thought it was going to go, whether it's buying a home, whether it's hiring a builder, a general contractor, whatever. My opinion is understand the landscape, learn, don't rush, and if something that is so urgent escapes you, it wasn't for you. There's something better for you on the horizon. That's my opinion.
Nice.
Don't rush.
Yeah. Can you share like any challenges that maybe you and your wife have experienced since being here?
I think that we all go through the same challenges. We are, we're used to some basic things in America that allow us to build off of and explore and pursue our own interests. In Ghana, it's a young country, so it's not fair to come over here and complain what Ghana doesn't have versus where we came from. America is hundreds of years old. Ghana is not 100 years old yet. So it's a baby. A lot of things are in the works. And so the challenges are there. So we complain about, contracts and agencies and trying to get residency here and try to start businesses here, we all have the same complaints. Some people focus on these complaints and get stuck. Other people understand the complaint, keep it moving, overcome.
Yeah.
So no one escapes the challenges. It's just a matter of how you deal with the challenges.
Yeah, that's good insight. And I know you were sharing with me about like your lifestyle. So I visited your home and got to see how beautiful it was.
Long time ago too.
Yeah, it's been a while, but you know, the area was very nice and peaceful. Is this like the type of lifestyle that you, like, what do you think about the lifestyle? How do you feel about how you're living now? Is this better, worse, ideal for you? Can you share just a little bit more about what's your daily, what does your lifestyle look like?
Well, in the States, when I met my wife, when I started dating her, she had a big house in South Jersey.
Okay.
I had a big brownstone in Brooklyn. We got together and we both confessed to each other we never wanted to own another home. And so we've been apartment condo people ever since.
Nice.
And when we came to Ghana, we wanted to replicate that same kind of lifestyle. I don't want to cut the grass or fix the fill in the blank. I don't want to fix anything. I don't want to cut anything. If something breaks, I want to call someone to fix it.
Yeah.
And so my lifestyle is the same as it was in Brooklyn. And in Ghana, there's something for everyone. If you want the yard and the house and the joys and the pitfalls that come along with that, blessings to you. If you want easier living, in my opinion, you can get that either through purchase or renting. And there's no wrong answer. They're all right answers. So whatever you want, whatever's going to make you feel good about living here in Ghana, there's something here for you. But my lifestyle is the same.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like some of the biggest benefits of living here for me is the people. I find that there's a lot of kind people. I like the slower pace, where, especially if you're comparing it to like New York City, where things are really on the move, or even how the housing market was just a few years ago, where if you wanted a house, you were literally competing with like 10, 15, 20 people. I have a friend who offered $25,000 over the market value of the home, just to secure it. And so you have all this like rush in the States, and moving here and having this slower pace is just so nice to experience. So I feel like that's some of the best parts. It's the people, it's the slow lifestyle, and then it's just kind of like the food and just the culture itself. What about you? What do you think?
Well, my wife loves it because she's retired. She doesn't work. And, in the States, for all the nice things that you can have, you got to be on that wheel working to keep it. You got a nice house, you got two people on that wheel, on that hamster wheel, working to keep that nice house. I'm not even sure if it's even possible these days in the majority of the big cities to have one person working, one person at home. You need two hustlers. And so you're always in a state of hustle.
Yeah.
And to come here, and to your point, for things to be moving at a different speed is relaxing. To have the choice, if you made certain decisions in your life, to not have to work here is life-changing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I know your YouTube page, your YouTube channel is on exactly what you spoke about, right? Getting off that wheel.
Off the wheel, yeah.
Yeah. And so do you want to like share a little bit about what inspired you to start that, specifically targeting individuals who want to get off the wheel but don't have a strategy?
Interestingly enough, it was my wife's idea again.
Okay.
I don't even like to be in front of the camera. I'm a behind the scenes kind of guy. She said, let's start the channel. And, we really thought maybe 5 people would care, but it's really a blessing to have such a large following. But the point is to just show people what we did, how we moved, how we planned, how we landed, that, with the right plan It's not impossible. And so we document our transition, we document our immersion, and we document our activities now that we're here. But the point is to just help anyone who was on that wheel, didn't know how to get off, didn't know where that they could jump to, thought it was impossible. We just want to show people by example that it's very possible, and we need to be over here. We need to bring our people over here if we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the word that I'm getting from that comment is representation. And representation, as we know, really does matter in a lot of areas. But having you share your lifestyle here is a big deal for people to see and experience. The very first time I came to Africa, I actually went to Senegal and the Gambia, and I studied abroad, where all my colleagues were studying in, for all of my, what do you call these people I went to school with? Student, whatever. So everybody who I went to school with was going to Europe. That was the goal, Spain, France. And I have so many friends that's where they went to study abroad. But as soon as I saw that they were going to Africa, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. I'm definitely going on this trip instead. And I spent 6 weeks in West Africa. And I had a good friend of mine, who shared concern when I told her I was coming here. And she's like, I don't want you to get attacked or eaten by a lion. And even though that was, many moons ago, people still have that same mindset, where I brought in a group of women about a year and a half ago to come and visit Ghana. And I brought a group in recently as well. And, both times people were sharing how concerned their family was, and how people were like, don't get eaten and this and that. And it's just like, yo, where y'all think I'm going? There's just, and so just to bring it back, like, I think sharing our experiences is going to be like a game changer for a lot of people to see that, like, we're fine. Actually, we're more than fine. We're enjoying ourselves, and we have what we need and more, right? The and more being the peaceful elements of life as well.
Yeah, I think that to a certain degree, I had some of the same thoughts as that person who was worried about you. And now that I'm here, I understand more full circle that you're only informed by the media sources who inform you. It's really weird when I'm here watching local TV and CNN Africa comes on, and they do a whole lineup of coverage of things that we would never get in America. So CNN slices and dices what different audiences around the world consume.
Right.
And so thankfully, the technology and the YouTube allows people like us to bypass traditional media sources and get our message out to anyone with a phone. If not for if smartphones and not for YouTube, maybe you and I aren't sitting here. So there were people that came before us, the big YouTube names, and like we're the people, the next wave of media content sharing our stories and through our own personal prisms.
Yeah, and it's exciting. So let's talk money, okay?
Love money.
We
love money.
Black women.
You look like
best,
you really love
okay?
money.
What they say, the love of money is whatever. But for sure, I'm always talking dollars, and so I know that a lot of people want to put some numbers behind the lifestyle that we're talking about. So can you share what your monthly budget is?
So I would say whenever I go shopping, if I go big time shopping, I'll spend 1,000 CDs.
Okay, where are you shopping at?
ShopRite.
Okay. All right, yeah. And we have that in the US.
Right.
So you should
if I go to the most expensive place to shop and I go crazy, I'll spend 1,000 CDs, which is divided by, right. And I might do that twice a month. Sometimes 3 times a month. So my bill is always under $250 US.
Right.
My wife and I. And then we eat out occasionally. We go into the city, go to a fancy restaurant. We got friends that eat at fancy restaurants every night. Don't even know how to turn their stoves on. But we're like homebodies, and so our eating out budget is maybe another $100, 150. And we're not buying like clothing so our budget is like food, because I'm assuming your home is taken care of. I'm assuming whenever you've come over here, you've gotten your place, you've bought your place, and so your budget doesn't include, housing.
Yeah. And what about the fun stuff? What do you guys do for fun?
We don't do anything for fun. We're boring.
Really?
No. The thing is, so my wife, she travels around Ghana for fun. She hits all of the faraway places. For me, my work is my fun.
Yeah.
Like, as an entrepreneur, it's hard to understand if you never dated one or never married one or don't have any as friends. But we find fun in the work that gives us purpose.
Same.
Yeah. So like, that's what I like to do.
So when she goes on these excursions, is she joining tour groups?
Oh no, with girlfriends.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, perfect. Yeah. So it's definitely minimal cost, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay. So food, it sounds like just a few $100s and you get a chance to eat out multiple times. I know for myself, renting in Ghana when I first got here, it was, we found a 2-bedroom, 2-story apartment in East Legon, and it was $1,050 per month. And even some people said, oh, you could definitely find places that were less than that. But for me, I'm like, oh, this is a steal, right? Eventually ended up moving into more of like a crowded, like urban area, and paid as much as like $1,600 a month for them. So we've hopped around a little bit, but it's...
You talking about US dollars?
Yeah, USD. Look at you.
What state are you from?
Well, okay, so I'm originally from Miami. So when I see those prices, I still have in my mind that this is a good deal, You don't agree?
Well, comparatively, it is a good deal, and compared to what your salary, what your income was paying in the States,
yeah,
it's a good deal. But for here, that's expensive.
Yeah. And maybe that's the example you were talking about, like pace yourself. You don't have to make a decision right away. You don't have to find an apartment right away, but like shop around.
Just so that you know, she just picked the most expensive area in all of, it would be like Upper East Side in New York. It would be like, what's the most expensive place in Miami?
Oh, probably Brickell.
So
yeah, I definitely picked the Brickell of Accra for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that's just to kind of give y'all an overview of what your cost could potentially be if you rent here. But that's 2 different areas, right? From 1,000 to 1,600. Do you still feel like 1,000 is a little bit too high?
Absolutely.
Wow. So what's like an average for a 2-bedroom in other areas?
I've helped people who've come through my Airbnb find recently in my neighborhood in McCarthy Hills, which is not in the city, but it's in a fancy part of my neighborhood, Wasia, a 2-bedroom,
okay,
newly developed, on a nice hill, 2,000 Ghana per month.
What? That's like less than $200.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And that's good living.
Yes.
And that's still expensive. That's still expensive. Mm-hmm. And if you really want to live large, 4,000, 5,000 Ghana per month.
Yeah.
Which is
a few $100.
$300, $400. Yeah. So.
But am I going to be out in the boondocks? I want to have things around me. I want to be able to go out.
What things?
So I want to have multiple restaurants.
Why? You're going to eat out every night?
I do like eating
cook?
out. Maybe not.
Do you cook?
I prefer not to.
Well, then that's the lifestyle.
I can make breakfast. Then I love that.
Okay.
But I definitely prefer to go out and have some jollof and
then you need to work hard and make that money to pay that.
To keep that lifestyle, yeah. I got you. No, I mean, that's my biggest reason why I wanted to be in the city. Okay. It's just how close is everything? If I do want to go out and spend, go to a nightclub or whatever, I don't want to have to drive 40 minutes to get there.
I'm never going to a nightclub.
Okay.
So there you have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So as far as lifestyle, what else is it that people do here? And how much does it cost?
Well, everything that you want to do, you can do. Beaches. We just had our family, my in-laws come. My wife's sister, husband, 2 kids. Go karts.
Okay, nice.
Park, all kind, whatever you want to do, you can do here.
Nice. Nice, nice. And the price I'm guessing is just significantly less.
Cheap, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheap, especially if you're earning in US dollars. I mean, we don't even have the opportunity to earn in Ghanaian CDs. Like, there are no jobs for us, for the most part,
Yeah.
to take on and get paid in CDs. So our revenue is always, well, is typically going to be US dollars. And to us, things are relatively inexpensive.
Okay, so if I go go-karting, what can you expect from me?
It was 60 CDs for 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay, just a few bucks.
Yeah.
Basically. Nice.
You see all kind of bowling alleys have opened up here in Ghana.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
But that's exciting.
All kinds of things are opening up here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I'm finding that more and more that a lot of businesses that are similar to what we'll find in the States are opening up. And I think there's such a high demand of people who want to move and want to experience Ghana. So with that high demand comes a high demand in real estate as well as business opportunities. So what would you say about the economy here? What have you experienced and where do you think it's going?
At the risk of not getting thrown out of the country,
Okay.
Ghana's economy has so much potential. And unfortunately, a couple of high-level decisions around IMF money, loan money, and in managing the country's finances not always the right way puts pressure on the citizens around inflation and products that you can get in the market. So, yeah.
Okay, that's a safe answer. Okay, cool. We're hoping for the best, but we have our eyes open on what's happening.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your Airbnbs. So you have a few Airbnb properties, right? How many do you have?
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is that market?
We have 2 also, and we have 2 visitors who visited our Airbnb who ended up buying apartments in our building.
Nice.
And so I also have their inventory along with ours. And so we have capacity for about 25 visitors at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So can you talk about what are those returns looking like? And what are the prices? What did you buy those units for?
Well, in our place, it's more like what New York City New York City renters are familiar with. They're like condo units, apartments. And they range anywhere from 1 bedrooms, even though there are no more 1 bedrooms, for 100. 2 bedrooms are 130. 3 bedrooms are 170,000 USD. These prices are USD. 4 bedrooms are 220,000, and go up to penthouses of 400,000. So anywhere between 130 and 400, you can get whatever you need. Yeah.
And so what are the nightly rentals going for?
Well, our rentals are priced differently than typical because usually when people find us on YouTube, they want to be near us. And so we charge a premium for having the people tap into our insights, our experience, the tea.
Yes, I
right?
love that.
So you could go and rent, typically not less. You don't have the option to cook like you have in our Airbnbs. You're not going to be near the biggest mall in Ghana, West Hills Mall, where you can get a lot of things are familiar. And then you can't get all the information from us about investing, living, etc. And so we charge $59 per person per night.
Okay.
Yeah.
$59 per person per night
Right.
in that region.
Right.
Okay, in Waja region. Okay.
Right.
And so what does the occupancy rate look like?
Our occupancy rate, we probably get 2 visitors on average per month,
Okay. And they're staying for a week,
a
2
week,
weeks?
typically 10 days. Typically 10 days. We get some long-term visitors, and so we have a long-term unit as well. I break it down short-term and long-term because what the viewers don't understand is things that they don't have to worry about in America, we have to worry about in Ghana, and we have to price accordingly or be bankrupted. So if you went to an Airbnb in the States, you're not worried about electricity or internet. Here, we get charged for consumption of internet, not speed of internet. So if some remote worker comes to your place and is downloading and uploading, they can put you out of business. They don't know that.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
Same thing with electricity. Electricity in Ghana is expensive compared to America. And sometimes you'll have an Airbnb guest, they want it to feel like a meat locker. Got the AC on, they go to Cape Coast 8 hours away, come back, they still got the AC on.
Yeah.
They don't care about your electricity costs, but it can bankrupt you.
Yeah.
So for people who are staying 14 days plus, I have a long-term pricing to adjust for the extra air conditioning and the extra internet data that they will consume.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really smart. How do you ensure that all of your investments are successful then?
It's trial and error. You tweak with a price, you look at your profit and loss. If it doesn't work, you tweak with the price. You offer less stuff, and you come to the place where you're delivering good value to a guest, but you're making money. You're not going broke either. So both people have to be satisfied. Like we just had a guest who inquired, at one of our short-term stays, which doesn't include washer and dryer. Our long-term does.
Okay.
So the short-term person was like, washer and dryer? No. Is food included?
Ooh, that's nice. Okay.
And I say, no, it's not included for an extra price. So my point is, people are interested in what they can get from you and your services, and you can deliver, but you have to price your products and your services so you don't go broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah, good advice. And so I know that during the holidays, November, December, all the way till March, February, March, it's busy season. So what would you say, or do you find that you're having like a high increase in renters?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah, because typically in business, you attract what you are.
Okay.
So I'm not attracting the young people who are going out to the club every night. Right. I'm attracting the old people who are staying at home, who just want to do some tourist things, who want to see if they can live here.
Okay.
And so I don't get a spike in business during holiday season. My business is just the same year round. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I tell my visitors, stay away during December, because I don't leave the house in December. I don't want to be on a congested roads. I don't want to be waiting in line at a restaurant. I don't want to be fighting at the supermarket. I'm off the radar in December, so I don't even want Airbnb guests.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But just so everyone knows too, if you are purchasing a property for investment purposes, typically the capital, Accra, has a huge number of visitors around that time.
Yeah.
So from like November to roughly February or so.
Yeah.
And that's typically when a lot of people really earn their profits within their Airbnb, where throughout the year it's more of like, okay, I can pay my bills and maintain.
Right.
But the real profits start to come in consistently during that time. Yeah. Any advice on like where people should be looking? So if they want to buy, if someone wants to purchase so that they can invest, not just to live, but specifically to invest.
To invest. Well, I would say you have to be very careful, because a lot of times people think that if you buy it, they will come. But that's not always the case. If you buy something and you put it, let's say, on Airbnb, you are one of a gazillion people fighting for exposure on Airbnb. In my opinion, you have to have a shtick, you have to have a hook, an angle, or an audience. We happen to have an audience on our YouTube, and so the YouTube serves as a funnel
Right.
to get to know us, and then say, "Oh, let me go visit those guys and stay at their Airbnb." If you don't got one of those four things, a stick, an angle, a story, or
Yeah.
it could be a little tough letting people know that you got something to offer.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And then you have just, or your guests have the benefit of being close to you, which really does make a big difference for their experience. Yeah, that's great. That's great that you have that as an option for people to, like, they know basically where you live.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
They know
yeah.
where you live. They can get close and they can ask all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always say when it comes to YouTubers, like, there's like a distance, right? Yeah, we'll answer your comments or whatever, but you guys are very
My
personal
wife
with your
gets a little
community.
upset because at the end of every one of our episodes, I invite people over for a cigar, a scotch, a coffee, a tea, an ice cream, whatever your thing is.
Okay.
Come on over. Let's see how we can collaborate on something, build together, share ideas, share networks. And people do, "Hey, Dale, I just landed. I'm in Ghana. I want to come over."
It's lovely.
So,
Did you do that in New York?
oh no. Oh no, I'm antisocial. So I never did it in New York.
Yeah, it's funny how, like, I don't even know
Well-
my neighbor's name.
Well, excuse you. Excuse you.
Okay.
It was a loaded question because my neighbors in New York didn't look like me.
Okay.
So I wasn't trying to make new
Make
friends.
Okay, I got you.
So there would be people on my floor. I would see them for years.
Yeah.
We don't say one peep to each other. But here, everybody's your neighbor. So it's
Yeah.
different. It's different.
Yeah, for sure. A different level of community here. Definitely more welcoming. Okay, can you tell me about Monarch Village? So you are a real estate investor and now you are a real estate developer, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about Monarch Village and what it is and what you're working on?
Well, yeah. So, I always, sometimes I reluctantly take on the description of real estate developer. There are people who dream of and grow up wanting to be a developer.
Yeah.
I don't care to be. I have an end, and a lot of the things that I'm working on in Ghana are a means to an end. And this real estate project just happens to be one of the means to an end.
Nice.
But Monarch Village is what I would call a large R, small s community. Small S for senior, large R for retirement. What I've discovered here in my year and a half of living in Ghana is there are a lot of industries here that are ripe for starting and haven't been because of the culture gap between Americans and Ghanaians, and also because of other variables that we can get to. So typically, if you're an older person and you come here, you do what everyone has done before you, which is buy a piece of land, build something on it. And people do it because that's the only thing you can do. There are no other options. And so I would gather that 15% of the people who do come here to move, to stay, would prefer to rent and save their assets. Or some people don't even have the assets to buy something, but still have the monthly income through a pension or a social security check. So I'm just focusing on that group of people who are wanting to move here, want some familiar amenities that they're accustomed to and don't want to buy and build, but would prefer to rent. And so I saw that as an opportunity, and I came up with Monarch Village, which is a senior living, retirement living community for Black American expats.
Nice. And the idea of a retirement community is kind of foreign here, right?
Yeah.
Because you think about how many generations are living in the same house. So you take care of your grandma and your grandpa, but in the States, it's not really a thing. And so it sounds like the majority of the people who you're attracting to Monarch Village are foreigners, right?
Black Americans.
Yeah, Americans specifically who understand the concept, who are welcoming of the concept of living separately from your family.
Right.
And so, and they also are not, they don't have the desire to buy land and build. So there's definitely a demand in there, right? So can you tell me, like, when is this project going to start and be finished? Because I'm sure people want to dive in. And what is it going to look like?
I'll answer that, but I want to make a comment on something that you said about the generations of people in the homes. What your viewers should also be reminded of is that, unlike America, the real estate aftermarket here in Ghana isn't as robust.
Okay.
So when you buy a house, in America, if you buy a house, that house can be bought and sold 100 times. In Ghana, that's not the case. So, and because there's no mortgage industry, really, like we have in America, the mortgage industry is just getting started here. You typically can only buy what you can afford. If you can afford the land, you buy the land. Next year, you can afford the foundation. Next year, you can afford the walls. Next year, you can afford the ceiling. So Ghanaians are getting the benefit of the house on the back end. We get the benefit of the house on the front end through borrowing. They get the benefit only on the back end through saving and spending. And so when you get a house here in Ghana, it's a big deal. It's a family house. And so that's a big difference compared to America. But to answer your question, it will be on 20 acres, the project. It will have 120 single studio occupancy units for rent and a few double occupancy studio units to rent. And the magic, I think, of this development will be all of the shared space, amenities, and services that have been given really good thought, knowing who the demographic is. Our demographic are older Black Americans, so you got to really give some thought to the health conditions that they're dealing with and that they're bringing over. My wife's a pharmacist, so I have that advantage. They have money in the bank in America, and they have to spend that money here in CDs. And so the ability to move your money around effectively, and so having a money center, a retirement center on premise is a big thing. And so it's going to have game rooms, theaters, health suites, all kinds of things, so that if you want to stay in your nicely furnished studio and enjoy Ghana, you can. But if you want to come out and experience things with other neighbors, or if you want to walk or bike the acres that the project sits on, you can. And so that's just a little bit about what it might look like.
Yeah, what inspired that?
You know, getting intel from our YouTube and our Airbnb inspired it. And so when we get people who come over, and let's say D, we'll call her D, one of our Airbnb guests.
Okay.
She bought land, started building, hated the process, hated her general contractor, overspent, over budget, not on time, and in retrospect, she wished she could have had another option.
Right.
And I would say for every 100 people that move to Ghana, I think 15 people would prefer to rent.
I think more than that, to be honest.
Listen, you know what? I'll make you my spokesperson because I believe so too. But conservatively, I think that there is a growing population of people who, and my stepfather, before he passed, lived in a single occupancy studio for retirement in a 40-story building in Queens, New York. So we're familiar with this, but when we come, we don't even have the option to think about it.
Yeah.
And so I just think that there's a big opportunity for this initial location as well as other expansion locations around Ghana and more than likely other West African countries.
Yeah. No, I think this concept is definitely going to pick up as more Americans want to move to Africa, and media playing a big role, as we talked about, and just people seeing themselves in this lifestyle, experiencing this lifestyle. So how did you do the market research? Like, what was the market research that you conducted to figure out?
Unfairly, the market research is through my client base for my investment company, is knowing that there are tens of thousands of people. Let's just take New York City, for example. If you take corrections, police, education, healthcare, tens of thousands of people are retiring every year just from New York City. And they typically go down south. But because it's not as, it's becoming more and more expensive to move down south, and because the political climate is getting crazier, it's not as appealing.
Right.
And so when you take that along with the increased exposure that Ghana and other African countries, I used to say West African, but a lot of people are looking at Kenya and so other African countries, those two bubbles are meeting and putting Black Americans in a mind space of, I can consider Ghana. I should consider. Let me go check. I would say 10% of our Airbnb clients come to our Airbnb for a week. And they're like, okay, Dale. I'm like, oh, you're going back to the States? Nope. I'm going to Kenya. Then I'm going to Rwanda. I'm going to see which of the three I like, and then I'll make a decision. People are moving. People are investigating places to live. And so my investment company gave me some insight with my clients because I saw where they were going and I heard what they were talking about. But the Airbnbs just confirmed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I may be so rude, you do run Black Women Invest, and this is talking about how to shrink that wealth gap.
Oh, yes.
So there are opportunities to invest along with us in this project if some of your watchers wanted to consider the project as an investment.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll definitely talk about how people can reach out to you and get involved in that, because it is very innovative. And I'm sure a lot of people already had their eyes were already turned into dollar signs. Like, hold on, I want to get into this. How do I do this? So and I wanted to point out that this idea, this concept really does allow people to stretch their retirement dollars so much further. Where even in the States, if you're receiving $1,900 for Social Security, that's not really going to take you anywhere, right? And this is why we have people who are working side jobs and they're the greeters at these stores and stuff, because
granddad doing Uber.
It's too much, yeah. So why not take that $2,000 check that you're receiving, and we've highlighted some of the costs of living here. And granted, it may not stay that way forever, and it's not going to be that way in every region, but it for sure is going to be a big difference from like New York City.
Absolutely. And I even have a little worksheet where I tell someone, okay, look at what you're getting in your Social Security check, subtract the rent that you would pay here, and what you have left over, whatever you have left over, you'll be able to live off of. In the States, you can't say that.
Right.
We see older people having roommates now.
Oh, yeah.
Older people moving back in with kids. So and prices never go down in the States. They only keep going up. So why not consider coming to Ghana?
Yeah.
Better for your health, better for your mental, better for your pocketbook.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's simple math, right? Like, it's so simple. You can go so much further. And how much are you estimating for these units to start off with, at?
They're going to be around $500 per month.
Y'all heard that? Okay.
But the value that you will get for your $500 in terms of
amenities that you listed. You have a pool. You have workshops and things available for you.
We have so many things that we're going to have available. But again, I don't want to just dangle the candy. The most important things are going to be around health on demand to the premises, assistance with prescription drugs. A lot of our residents will have mobility issues. And so while we won't be ADA compliant, we'll be ADA sensitive. Because respectfully, a lot of our Ghanaian developers, just don't build the things. My wife's sister is in a wheelchair. She can't come to Ghana. Ghana typically doesn't have ramps. Even in my development, the phase 1 didn't have ramps. Phase 2 does have ramps. So wide doors, things to hold on to, appropriately designed countertops, all of these things, like a lot of times they'll also try to sell new homes with like different levels, 3 steps down, 2 steps up.
Yeah.
And our older people can't get around like that, So this is going to really speak to what this particular demographic needs in terms of necessities, and then some nice to haves.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal development. So
does that mean you're in? Does that mean you're in?
I was bid in. I have you here. I was bid in. Okay. But like for those who are interested in investing, right? What are some of the things what do you want to share with those who are interested in investing in this project?
So I could have gone 2 ways.
Okay.
I could have gone the Ghana way, where it's much cheaper for me. I'm a Ghana-owned company. You can just send money over and hope for the best. But I know our American investors are, they don't want to be scammed. They don't want to be, they want to have recourse if something goes wrong. So this investment project I'm raising in America through a crowdfunding campaign that's regulated by the SEC.
Awesome.
So I got to be careful of the word safe. It's safe in terms of how your money is managed and all of the due diligence that is put in front of you and all the hoops that I have to jump through in order to even put the project in front of you. So you'll share the crowdfunding campaign website, but it's on WeFunder, Monarch Village, if you wanted to do a quick Google. But so all of the money is being raised in America with proper oversight.
And how else do you plan to attract investors for the development?
So interesting that you should ask me that. I was just on a conference call yesterday with 2 foreigners looking to invest in Ghana real estate.
Okay.
And I haven't even really opened up myself for marketing just yet, or I haven't looked for, what I call professional money just yet. But these guys found me. And what happens is there's money around the world, and money wants return. Money wants yield. And America gives you a certain range of return on your investments or yields for certain real estate projects. And when they look outside of America, if they can get a little bit more yield and they feel the risk is being managed properly, they're interested. And so I believe that when I'm ready to go and do a real big splash about, I'm ready for outside investment, I believe that the demand is there for professional money, real estate funds, REITs, family offices. There's a whole bunch of money buckets out there that are looking, and Ghana, unfairly or not, gets the lion's share of interest because it's perceived, rightfully so, as one of the safest places to come and maybe the safest place for your money to start out. It's like it's like training wheels. You come to Ghana, you feel good, maybe you'll go and invest in other African countries. But yeah.
Nice. I feel there is a demand for people to live in Monarch Village.
So I haven't advertised. I have 100 plus units to rent. I have 5 people on the waiting list.
Awesome.
With 0 advertisement, 0 Facebook ads, 0. I haven't done an episode on YouTube yet about it. But what happens is people, like, you might talk to somebody about it and I'll get a phone call. There are people who want the product.
Yeah.
It's something that's not here. And I'll ask you a question, which is really asking the audience. Do you think out of all of America, I can get 100 people to rent?
For sure.
So
within this community alone, right? You're gonna.
I feel like I can get 100 people just from my zip code in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But I have all of America. So the demand is there. People don't even know the product is here yet.
Right.
It's like before you had an iPhone, you didn't know how much you needed it. Now you can't live without it.
Yeah.
You didn't know you needed that iPhone.
Right. I have my Android. Perfectly happy.
Okay, so there you have it.
No, I think that this is. I think once you start to get that word out there, we're for sure going to find more than 100 people who are going to be interested in this.
You're one of the first audiences that I've really spoken about it because So.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I recently overheard a Ghanaian American speaking to someone on the phone about like the same issue, and I thought to myself, oh, I know about, a place, Monarch Village, and they were talking about like how frustrating it is to not have something like a retirement home for them to put their elderly into, considering that they're back and forth. And so it's perfect timing for sure. There's definitely a demand. There's an increase.
So maybe that's a 6th rental?
Oh yeah, for sure.
6?
No, I think this conversation, this interview alone is probably going to close it out. Okay. But yeah, you definitely have a high level of interest in something like this for both the investment side as well as those who want to come and live.
Right.
Yeah. That's exciting. What advice would you give to someone who is looking to start investing in real estate in Ghana?
So the first step is to acknowledge you know nothing about real estate in Ghana.
Okay.
And whatever you thought you were going to bring to the table and apply here, the rules are different. The bureaucracy is different. The favors are different. And so I would say you have to equip yourself with as many tools as possible to help de-risk any potential investment.
Right.
And so, for example, one of the tools that I used to find the place that I'm living was Seso Global, which in full disclosure, I'm an investor of. I believe in the mission, I believe in their technology and the vision. And so I invested in them in, I think, 2021, I believe. But they were one of the tools that I used because they had vetted a variety of projects in a way that I didn't have the time, the expertise to do myself. And so if you come over here just thinking you're going to get off the plane, hop in the car, go negotiate and get a good deal, It doesn't work like that. A lot of people run into problems. A lot of people run into situations where their money, something happens, three people also have ownership of the same place.
Oh, God,
and so
yeah.
you can't be fast, you can't be clever. Just work with local people who have expertise. So you're gonna have to trust somebody. So you got to start trusting your tools. The Seso of the world are where you should start. It's where I started for me, and they helped me find a place that I'm living in.
Yeah, and what do you think stands out about their company versus working with like other brands here?
Well, you know, they have local expertise on the ground, agents who are personable, who are knowledgeable, who can hold your hand through the process. Because you can work with some companies, and the follow up is forever. So Seso has the right balance of customer service and industry knowledge, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I've had positive experiences with them as well. And, as as the audience knows, when we've done a few tours with them in the past. And so all good things to say as well about Seso Global.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you want to leave this audience with?
Your Black Women Invest audience. I would just say, when you're talking about investments, you have to diversify. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. You should have stocks, you have bonds, art, real estate, and even within real estate in the city, real estate in the suburbs, rentals. And so I would say, consider Ghana as a viable option for your investment dollars. I'd love you to come here and live. I'd like you to come here and spend a lot of time. But if you can't live and you can't spend a lot of time, let your capital come. There are opportunities to make good money. And you get the added benefit of having your money go into a neighborhood or go into a project that will create an economic ripple of activity for the locals. Because to me, it's one thing to just make money. You can make money anywhere. But to make money and to make impact is the best of both worlds. And you can do that in Ghana. So I say, bring your money to Ghana. It doesn't have to be with me. I would like it, but just bring your money to Ghana. Yeah. Work with you. You're here more and more. You're getting to know these streets. Your networks are growing. Your insight is increasing. And so work with us to find out where there's places that you can put your money, and make impact.
Yeah, awesome. That's great advice. Thank you. And thank you for joining the show. So I hope this was very helpful for you all who are interested in coming to Ghana, investing in Ghana. Dale shared some amazing insight on all things related to lifestyle and real estate and investing in business. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you can stay connected with us and know all things that we're working on in relation to Ghana and its developments.